Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I am doing a 2026 Senate map election prediction forecast, and for today's video I'm going to be using the Decision Desk HQ's forecast map as a basis for this prediction. Decision Desk HQ is a very well-known, reputable polling site, and I'm going to be using their forecast map to do a 2026 Senate map prediction, and we're going to see ultimately how they have the Senate going now on about August 3rd, obviously under 100 days until the election. So let's start first thing first with the state of Oregon. Democrat Jeff Merkley taking on Republican David Smith. No surprise here, safe Democratic ranking. The Democratic senator wins another 6-year term in the state of Oregon. We can move next door to the state of Idaho. Republican Jim Risch, heavily favored over independent Todd Achilles. Safe Republican ranking as well. Idaho goes as safe red. And just to be clear, when we come to states that are going to be toss-ups, we're going to circle back on those and talk about the more competitive seats at the end of the video. We'll go to Wyoming, where the Republicans have a 99% chance to win there. I do believe an open Senate seat in that one. And the state of Montana. Montana gets a lot of talk for it potentially being competitive with Kurt Alme, Seth Bodnar, and Alani Bankhead, the Democrat, though the odds here show the race listed as likely Republican with Alme versus Bodnar. If the Democrat Bankhead did drop out of the race, this race would probably get a lot more competitive, but until that happens, overwhelming odds in the direction of the Republicans, a likely Republican ranking in the state of Montana. Next, we can go to the state of Colorado, where John Hickenlooper has a safe Democratic ranking, 97% to 3% over Republican Mark Baisley. No surprise, Colorado goes safe Democrat. In the state of New Mexico, also no surprise here, Democrat Ben Ray Lujan is defeating write-in Republican candidate Larry Marker, 95 to 5, also a safe Democratic ranking out of the state of New Mexico. Alaska, we are going to circle back on. Next to the state of South Dakota, no surprises here, 99% chance for Mike Rounds to win, a safe Republican race. We're going to put South Dakota as safe R. Nebraska will come back on as well. In the state of Kansas, Republican Roger Marshall is facing off against likely Democratic nominee once that primary is settled in just a few days. Or as the time you're seeing this video, the primary will be settled, I believe, today. So definitely, we'll see how that goes tonight. But Adam Hamilton's expected to win the Democratic primary, currently listed at likely Republican. In the state of Kansas, this is one where the Democrats are optimistic. They can expand the map and make Kansas more competitive. But I think it's kind of in a similar category as Montana right now, where I really don't think it's going to end up being all that close. And I definitely don't think the Republicans are in super big danger of losing that race. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Out of the state of Oklahoma, 98% for Kevin Hearn to win there. No surprise. Oklahoma goes safe red. Texas, again, we will circle back on. In the state of Louisiana, Louisiana actually listed as likely Republican for, I believe it's Republican Julia Letlau in this race over the Democrats. This is interesting. I haven't seen a forecast with Louisiana as likely Republican in a pretty long time. Arkansas has it listed as safe Republican, though, for Tom Cotton. No surprises there. A little bit of a surprise here on the margins. 95% chance for Cindy Hyde-Smith to defeat Democrat Scott Cullum in Mississippi. This puts Mississippi as a safe Republican state. When I look through the comment section of people commenting about seats that are held by the Republicans that Democrats feel they have a better chance at winning, Mississippi's name always comes up despite it being a very safe Republican state due to Cindy Hyde-Smith underperforming in 2020. And it's a state that definitely Democrats think Scott Cullum could make more competitive. But Decision Desk HQ's forecast, they have it as safe for the Republicans. Next door in Alabama, 98% for Republican Barry Moore to win there. Alabama goes as safe for the Republicans. Florida and Georgia will come back to in just one moment as well. I want to get some of these safe states out of the way. Tennessee is safe Republican, as is Kentucky, as is West Virginia. No surprises in these states. We'll just fill these in very, very quickly. Next, now we'll go back to the state of Florida, where Republican Ashley Moody will likely be facing off against Alex Vindman in the primary. Or in the general election, that primary still needs to play itself out as well, but currently listed as likely Republican. Florida, not really the battleground state it once was anymore, not talked about too much in the cycle of being a very competitive state. South Carolina, it's an open Senate race. We still have to wait and see with the passing of Lindsey Graham who will end up replacing him, whether it be his sister Darlene Graham, Ralph Norman, Russell Fry, a lot of Republicans, and that primary has to play itself out as well. But for the general election, it's Annie Andrews. They have it listed at 88% Republican, which would put the state of South Carolina as likely GOP. In the state of Virginia, no surprises here. Mark Warner heavily favored to win here at 95%. Virginia goes as a safe Democratic state. The state of Illinois, similar with Juliana Stratton versus Don Tracy, 95% chance to go to the Democrat. No surprise, Illinois goes as safe blue. The state of Minnesota could potentially become competitive in the right scenario, but Democrats overwhelmingly are favored in this race at 88% to the Republicans' 12%. Michelle Tafoya is probably one of the better candidates that Republicans could have run in this race, but in a Democratic midterm year during Trump's second term, Minnesota goes likely Democrat in that state. In the state of Delaware, shouldn't be too competitive as well. 97% chance to go Democrat. New Jersey, 95% chance for Cory Booker. No surprise, these states go as safe Democrat. Moving into New England as well, no surprise here. Jack Reed, safe Democrat in Rhode Island, and then Ed Markey versus Seth Moulton in the primary, but general election, safe Democrat in Massachusetts. No surprises there. Okay, so now we have 10 remaining seats left to go, now that we've done all of these safe Democratic and Republican seats and a handful of likely Republican and Democratic seats as well. Let's start talking about some of these races. And we're going to start first with the Senate race in New Hampshire, as Maine we're going to put in toss-up in just one moment. New Hampshire, this race is currently listed as likely Democrat. The Democrat likely going to be Chris Pappas, the 1st District's Democratic representative. On the Republican side, former U.S. Senator John Sununu is looking to be the Republican candidate and win that primary against former U.S. Senator Scott Brown as well. This race is definitely could be one that can get very close. For their forecast rankings, though, they have it listed as likely Democrat. So we're going to put the state of New Hampshire as likely Democrat. Maine we're going to put in toss-up for now, but I am going to look at the numbers towards the end of the video, and we're going to go through and see what they actually say in that race. Next, we can go to the state of Michigan. Michigan, this is going to be likely Abdul El-Sayed versus Mike Rogers, and this is a more competitive one. Democrats are favored at 60%, Republicans at 40%, so just outside that margin for a toss-up, which I think is 59% and under. So a very close race in the state of Michigan, but Abdul El-Sayed is nearly favored based on these numbers. Michigan goes as lean for the Democrats. Ohio falls in the toss-up category, as does the state of Iowa. Just saw on the map as well here. We can go to the state of North Carolina in the Senate race of Roy Cooper versus Michael Whatley. This one is the currently only non-toss-up Democratic flip on the map right now. Between Roy Cooper at 75%, Michael Whatley at 25%, a likely Democratic rating out of the state of North Carolina. That's very significant, putting it in the likely Democratic category. That is actually the same category as Democratic U.S. Senator in the state of Georgia, Jon Ossoff, who has a 77% chance to win. Mike Collins, the Republican, has 23%. So Georgia also goes in the likely Democratic category for those matchups. Next, we can go to the state of Nebraska, where Republican Pete Ricketts has an 86% chance to win over Independent Dan Osborne. I was a little surprised seeing this one, to be honest, for the first time, seeing the odds be that high. That's very, very significant, especially considering the polling has been close from what we've gotten thus far. But Nebraska goes into the likely Republican category. Last I checked, do believe Texas and Alaska are both in the toss-up category. So now going through all non-toss-up Senate races on the DDHQ map here, they have Democrats at 48 Senate seats, safe, likely, or leaning towards them right now. Republicans have 47 Senate seats, safe, likely, or leaning in their direction, with 5 Senate seats they currently have in toss-up. Now, the way it's going to work for a toss-up is all these odds for them to win based on the DDHQ forecast and the simulations that they've run are all 59% or under in the candidate's direction. So I'm going to use the tilt feature for today's video and put these states in tilt Republican and tilt Democrat to signify the toss-up races having a slight lead for one of the candidates. So we're going to start this time with the state of Alaska, and we're going to work our way back up towards Maine. In the state of Alaska, this is Mary Peltola versus Republican Dan Sullivan, the incumbent U.S. Senator. Expected to be a very close race as well. And their simulations show a very narrow lead for Mary Peltola in the Senate race, 53% to 47%. Peltola leads over Sullivan. So we actually can put the state of Alaska into the tilt Democratic category. In the state of Texas, Ken Paxton versus James Talarico, another close, hotly contested Senate race getting a ton of media attention out there. Ken Paxton has a narrow lead over Talarico in their simulations with a 54% chance to win for Paxton and 46% chance to win for Talarico. So very close, but Texas goes into the tilt Republican category. Next, we're going to move to the state of Iowa with Ashley Hinson versus Josh Turek. And Ashley Hinson, running to replace Joni Ernst, has a 59% chance to win. Josh Turek, just endorsed by Barack Obama like last week, I think it was, 59% chance for Hinson, Turek at 41%. Another close race. Iowa goes as tilt for the Republicans in this ranking. Ohio, hotly contested Ohio, very close Senate race in 2024 involving Sherrod Brown. We have another very close one in 2026 where Republican John Husted, the incumbent, is currently favored to defeat Sherrod Brown 58% to 42% in their probability simulations. Another very, very closely, hotly contested race in the state of Ohio. Doing so will put the state of Ohio in the tilt Republican column. Republicans now at 50 with one Senate seat remaining in the state of Maine. Susan Collins versus Troy Jackson, that Senate race is officially on after that primary convention played itself out in Maine. And in this one, by the absolute thinnest of margins possible, Susan Collins is favored at 51% chance to win to Troy Jackson's 49% chance to win. So by literally an absolute close hair in the state of Maine, Republicans, Susan Collins wins that race. Based on the Decision Desk HQ forecasting map that they currently have, Republicans are favored to win 51 Senate seats. Democrats are favored to win 49. And this is a very intriguing map. You see a lot of close races as expected and several of the usual suspects, but you see tilt Republican Maine, tilt Republican Ohio, tilt Republican Iowa, tilt Republican Texas, tilt Democrat Alaska, lean Democrat Michigan, likely Democrat in North Carolina, Georgia, and New Hampshire. It's an interesting map. There's definitely a lot of similarity to some of the polling numbers that are out there. I know polling this early on can be a little bit wonky and always hard to 100% trust, but you see likely Democratic leads in North Carolina for Roy Cooper, in Georgia for John Ossoff, and depending on the poll for Chris Pappas in New Hampshire, those certainly make a lot of sense. Right now, Mike Rogers is actually pulling up the Michigan Senate race. Right now, Mike Rogers is actually leading over Abdul El-Sayed in the polls and the polling averages here by roughly about 2.3%. So that's actually a lean Republican lead right now. Only 12.3% undecided, though, obviously. So, and I say only sarcastically, just to be clear. A ton of undecided vote left to go in that race until we start seeing some of that numbers start going to Rogers and El-Sayed respectively. We're not going to know for sure how the race is looking. It's looking still, given the election environment, probably in the direction of the Democrats. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. So Michigan being a lean Democrat non-toss-up is a little surprising to me, but again, it's by like 1% of their probabilities that it's not. And I do think the Democrats still favored, so I think that definitely makes sense. Alaska is definitely an interesting one. Mary Peltola, the Democrats are very bullish on that Senate race against Dan Sullivan and their ability to flip that one. Peltola currently leads in the polling averages by 0.4%. Only 6.6% of voters are undecided, so actually a good amount is already decided in this race. Most recent poll from New York Times and Siena University shows 47-45 with still 5% undecided. So a very, very tight race. Seeing it as tilt Democrat, it's not really a surprise considering the polling of this race and again the election environment and the quality of candidate that Peltola is. But anytime seeing a state that's typically likely to save Republican like Alaska go tilt blue is certainly something interesting to see. And then very close races in Texas, Iowa, Ohio, and Maine. Obviously, no surprises here. We can pull up Texas with Talarico versus Paxton in this very, very close race. Polling currently shows James Talarico up over Ken Paxton by 1.9%. The most recent poll to come out from Fox News, Beacon Research, and Shaw and Company Research. That's Fox News' poll. And they have Talarico up 51-48. So a very, very close race underway in the state of Texas. One of the Democrats have been wanting to flip Texas for a very long time. They haven't done it at the presidential, Senate, or governor level in a very long time. And right now, the polling suggests that James Talarico is favored in this race. Though again, still about 8% of the vote undecided. Gonna have to wait and see how that plays out in the coming few months. But Talarico right now has the lead in this race in the polling data. Next, we can look at, we'll go to the state of Iowa, where Iowa's an interesting one because it's more of a Republican state than I would say a toss-up state at this point, but the election environment and the quality of candidates the Democrats are putting up are making it a very competitive state in 2026. Some rankings still have it listed as lean Republican, though. The polling data shows a very close race for Ashley Hinson over Josh Turek overall. That Fox News poll does show Turek up, though, 50-46 over Ashley Hinson. So Iowa could be a little bit in for a surprise in the 2026 midterms, as it looked like Democrats would probably never win there again. And now the Democrats have a real opportunity to potentially pull off the upset in that state. In the state of Ohio, Sherrod Brown currently leading over John Husted in the polling by 1.3%. That Fox News poll shows Brown up by about 3, though John Husted's leading over Brown in the New York Times Standing University poll by about 3 as well. So definitely a super close one underway in the state of Ohio. And I really want to get to Maine, because Maine, obviously, we now know the matchup of Collins versus Troy Jackson. And the polling's been very close in it thus far from the few polls we have. University of New Hampshire just did a poll from a few weeks ago with Jackson leading over Collins 49 to 46. Overall, Jackson's leading over Collins about 1.8% as well. So as of now, the polling shows Democrats are leading at a lot of places across the country in these key battleground states. There is still a lot of undecided vote left, though, for the next 2 to 3 months to go over, but a very close race here. Decision Desk HQ has the Republicans favored narrowly in 51 Senate seats, Democrats 49, but some very close calls in Alaska, Texas, Iowa, Ohio, and Maine that you could see the map going here based on how they have the simulations going in a few directions, where the Republicans maybe could hold on to Alaska, hold on to Michigan, or flip Michigan. This would get the Republicans back up to 53, even with them losing Georgia and North Carolina, which it looks like the Democrats are probably going to win as of right now. The Republicans could conceivably hold their 53 number. I don't think they're going to be able to flip North Carolina or Georgia, but again, we'll have to wait and see here. Also, you can go the other way, considering how close things are. Alaska could stay on the Democratic side. Texas could flip blue. Iowa could flip blue. Ohio could flip blue. Michigan could stay blue. And then Maine could flip blue. And then you're looking at a Senate map where the Democrats have 53 Senate seats. Republicans have 47. So these very close calls show a lot of uncertainty on this Senate map that initially, when it started in, say, 2025, you're looking at the Senate map, you're thinking, well, Georgia will be a battleground, Michigan will be a battleground, and then North Carolina and Maine probably will too. Now you're talking about Ohio, Iowa, Texas, and Alaska. This is definitely a very competitive 2026 Senate map, and I can't wait to see how it develops over the next few weeks and few months. I hope you enjoyed this video. Really appreciate it. Hit like and subscribe if you did, and hope to see you in a future video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I really appreciate it if you could hit like and hit subscribe as well. It really helped me and my channel out a whole lot if you could do that for me. You can see in the circle in the top left the subscribe here button to subscribe to the channel. On the right, there are going to be 2 video pop-ups for you. My latest video will be on the top, and a recommended playlist by myself will be on the bottom as well. In the bottom left of the screen, you'll see my channel name, Anthony's Election Center, which you are currently watching. On my Facebook, Anthony.ElectionCenter is also there. And if you want to reach out to me on email, anthpredicts@gmail.com is my email. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. If you want to look for any of these, obviously in more time, please feel free. But for now, though, that is it. I really thank you all for watching and hope to see you in a future video.